All right, so for this habit, what we're going to be talking about is mindful eating. Uh, in the context of this video, we're talking about mindful eating for weight loss. It would be slightly different if we had someone who had the goal of gaining muscle or muscle hypertrophy, but today it's for losing weight. So, what is mindful eating? So, mindfulness in itself is just being present. It's being focused on the now. You're not thinking about the past and you're not thinking about the future. You're just focused in the present. So you're not thinking about what happened yesterday. You're not thinking about what you're going to be doing later. You're thinking about exactly right now and then what's going on. So the food in front of you, the setting you're in, you're focused in the now, the present. So you're probably wondering why. Why does this matter? How is this going to help me lose weight? Because when we're distracted and when we're not thinking about what we're doing, it's very easy for us to overeat, to skip our hunger cues, to feel unsatisfied by our meals, to not realize how much we're eating. So, step one of mindful eating is we're going to eliminate your distractions. So, what that means and what we're talking about specifically is electronic devices. So, your cell phone, your computer, your television, or any other electronic device that's taking your attention, they're great, and I use them a bunch myself, but they're not for the dinner table. So if you can, move them to a different room, put them on the couch when you're sitting at the table, but step one is to eliminate all of the devices from the meal. This is a great way for you to connect with your loved ones, to actually be present on the meal and the people you're with and the setting. So step one is eliminating your distractions. Step two is focus on your food. So there's a lot of things that have to happen for the food to be in front of us on our plate. So when I have a plate of chicken and rice and broccoli in front of me, most people just see a plate of chicken, rice, and broccoli. But think about this. Somewheres in the countryside, that chicken once lived, and someone raised that chicken. That means there was farmers that had to help feed that chicken. There was construction workers that had to build that farm. There was transportation workers and drivers that had to drive that vehicle to bring that food to the grocery store. There's people that work at the grocery store that had to pack it and set it up and do that. There's a whole supply chain that went into that chicken getting to your plate. The same thing with the rice. Most likely the rice probably came from Asia somewheres. There was probably a rice farmer in Vietnam or China that actually, or Thailand or India, that actually farmed that rice, and then the same transportation model had to get that food to you. So it's a great time right now to be grateful for the fact that you had access to that food, that we have the technology now for it to come from thousands of miles away to be on your plate in front of you right now. That's something that shouldn't be undervalued or understated, and it's something that we should be grateful for because, in all of human history, we didn't always have this luxury at our fingertips. So consider where your food's coming from and be grateful for the fact that you have this food in front of you. So even if you're eating ramen noodles or Mr. Noodles or Kraft Dinner or, the Costco brand, whatever, you should be grateful for that. Number 3, use a smaller plate. So if you use a giant plate the size of a UFO or a frisbee, you're going to want to fill that plate up. It's just nature. It's human nature. It's what we're going to want to do. So if you focus on using a smaller plate naturally, and there's been studies that have went into this, you're actually going to end up eating less just by the sole fact of having a smaller plate. So swap out the large china for the medium to small china, and you'll notice a big difference right away. Number 4, in between each bite, put your fork down. So you're probably saying, why does that matter? Because if you have your fork and you get your food in front of you and you just shovel, 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 you're eating so quickly that your body can't catch up to your hunger cues. So by the time, if you did overeat, your body doesn't realize until it's too late. But if you take a bite and then really savor that food and enjoy it, put your thing down, and then take another bite, enjoy it, chew it, taste it, feel it, like feel all the senses that are happening with that food, you're not going to overeat because you're so focused on that food that there's even something called, without getting too sciencey, salivary amylase, that when you eat carbohydrates, it actually breaks down the carbohydrates directly in your mouth as you're chewing it and savoring the food. So there's all these cool things our body can do, but they can't do it if we're in an all-you-can-eat contest with ourselves and we're just mindlessly shuffling the food. So put your fork down, slow down. The next step is enjoy the whole ambiance of the meal. So what I mean by that is, like, who are you with? Do you have a little bit of music playing in the background? Do you have a candle lit? Is it a celebration or is it an everyday meal? Is it, what does it taste like? What does it smell like? What does it look like? What does it feel like? These are all different senses we have as humans, and food is meant to be enjoyed. So enjoy it. Slow yourself down and really focus on nothing but just the present meal there. And last, definitely not least, is with the goal of weight loss, we need to consistently eat into a calorie deficit, which just means if your body is this big, we need to consistently eat this much so your body has to lose weight. Without getting too sciencey on you, it's if your body needs 2,000 calories, we need to eat 1,800 calories. An easy way to do that is if you're eating slowly and mindfully, once you feel like you're about 80 to 90% full, stop eating. Stop eating there, drink a little bit of water, and then give yourself 10 minutes. If you're still hungry after the 10 minutes, you can go back and finish your food. But if you're no longer hungry, you're probably full enough to call that meal, call it off, save the rest of the food, put it in a container and save it for a time when you're actually hungry. Because all these little wins are going to stack up into long compounding interest when it comes to your goal of losing weight. So stop when you're 80% full. And then a bonus tip for this would be, at each meal, make sure that you have a large glass of some kind of fluids with you. And what's preferred would be water. If you don't like regular water, you can infuse it with fruit. You could add sparkling water. If you are supplementing protein, you could have a protein shake with your meal, or you could have a herbal tea. But if you're drinking fluids with your meal, again, that's going to help fill you up. So it's going to help you avoid the temptation of overeating. That's the tip for this week. Now, as far as the homework goes, I know, giving you homework, so ridiculous, but hey, it's going to help. There's an exercise called the raisin experiment. And what this is, you're going to buy raisins. Even a single raisin. If you don't have a raisin, that's fine. Or if you're allergic, you don't have to eat a raisin. You could take a little piece of fruit. You could take a nut, a seed. Doesn't matter. Take a tiny little piece of fruit. There's going to be a link for you to follow right here or here, somewhere. Where are you? Either way, there's going to be a link for you to follow for the raisin experiment. And what this is going to get you to do is going to get you to really get mindful for with this one little piece of dried fruit. You're going to touch it. You're going to see it. You're going to taste it. You're going to smell it. You're going to study it. You're going to love that raisin more than you ever thought you could love a piece of dried fruit. But even though it seems silly, I highly recommend you take this seriously, because if you nail down on this raisin and you really feel what it feels to be mindful when you're eating this raisin, this will transfer over into all your other meals, and it'll make it so for the rest of your life, you'll never have to do another bullshit diet. You won't have to restrict. You won't have to do keto. You won't have to cut out all the foods you love, because moderation is the key to life. It's the secret sauce. And if you can learn to follow this simple trick, Oreo cookies, Ben & Jerry's, beer, you name it, if it's in moderation, there's a way that you can put it in there. So that's your challenge this week, or your homework, you could call it, is pick 5 minutes in your week. So go to your daily planner, go to your phone, whatever you're using, book 5 minutes. 5 single minutes is all I'm asking for. And make sure you're alone and do the raisin experiment. That's it. Enjoy.